Let's go to Los Angeles. Reagan historian, acclaimed author Craig Shirley is with us. His latest book, due this fall, is titled Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan. Craig, great to have you with us this morning. We just heard all these Republican candidates for president trying to grab the mantle of Ronald Reagan. You know the man very well. You've studied him. Which of these candidates is closest? Let's put it that way.
Well, none of them, really. There's a certain part of Reagan in every one of them, but, you know, frankly, candidates and presidents like Ronald Reagan don't grow on trees. John Patrick Diggins, who is a liberal historian, his last book, he was in many ways the official historian of the American left of the 20th century. He wrote books about the women's movement and the environmental movement. His last book was about Ronald Reagan, and in this book, this liberal historian rated Reagan as one of our four greatest presidents alongside Washington, Lincoln, and FDR because he freed or saved many people. So I will say one thing is that very few people saw that Reagan was going to be great before he was elected president. And as I've said before, is that Ronald Reagan wasn't Ronald Reagan before Ronald Reagan was Ronald Reagan.
Well, Ronald Reagan wasn't even, and Craig, I know you remember this, even election night 1980. Ronald Reagan was being mocked by Frank Reynolds and other people on television asking what the hell was going on out there. Nobody believed that Ronald Reagan was going to be president until he went over 270. Nobody in the establishment saw it coming. Nobody.
The establishment elite couldn't get over. You know, in 1975, Gerald Ford gave a speech at the Gridiron Dinner, and he mocked Ronald Reagan as he said he's not turning prematurely gray. He's just turning prematurely orange. You know, mocking his hair. So the elites always derided Ronald Reagan before he was president, during his presidency, and after his presidency. Only in the last 10 years, since the Alzheimer's and then his passing, have we seen the elites take a second look at Ronald Reagan.
So, you know, Craig, I know you get as tired of it as I do, everybody trying to wrap the mantle of Reagan around their campaign. Is there anybody in this race that has any characteristics or any spark that reminds you of Reagan in '76?
Sure. Well, everybody's running, or most of them are running as insurgents. And, of course, as you remember, he ran as an insurgent against Gerald Ford and nearly beat him for the nomination. You know, I see Scott Walker, I see Reagan's essential Midwestern goodness. In Ted Cruz, I see his passion and his fervor. In Rand Paul, I see his libertarian philosophy. Don't forget, for a time, Reagan described himself as a libertarian conservative. And in Donald Trump, I see the insurgency which made him always challenge the establishment. Ronald Reagan always challenged conventional wisdom.
So, do you think you see it more in Trump than you see it in the others, and you just don't feel comfortable saying it? No, it's true. Yeah. You know you do.
I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think that this is certainly one for the history books. We've never seen probably a candidate like Donald Trump before. You know, you'd have to go back to Wendell Willkie, who was a business executive who came out of nowhere to win the 1940 nomination. Of course, he lost to FDR, but he also was a populist insurgent. But so was Andrew Jackson. So, in a way, Trump is a continuation of outsider populist outrage that has had a long history in this country.
And by the way, if you're at home and you're near a computer, Google Craig Shirley, Newt Gingrich, Trump, Andrew Jackson. It is a remarkable story that traces back the populism of Andrew Jackson all the way through to Donald Trump. It's a fantastic
The book
column.
is Last Act, and it's out in October. Craig Shirley, always great to see you. Thank you for coming on the show this morning.
Thank you.
Take care.